Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 115 of the ATL Falcons UK podcast. As always, tonight I have Mark and Liam with me. Cal's missing in action, but it does not matter because it's a Victory Monday. I was going to wear this brand new bit of merch from over the pond last week, but the Falcons didn't deserve it. But after last night, I think that they do. The title of the show has been aptly named Redemption by Mark, and to be honest, there is no better word that fits it. So with that being said, let's crack into a brief overview. Boys, how are we feeling after a pretty impressive win against the Commanders?
Who's going?
Take your pick.
We were too keen on the negatives. We didn't get the positives. No one wants to speak. Yeah, I mean, we're much, I was about to say much happier, but I mean, which way, like, they could have put a point on the board and I would have been much happier. So,
yeah,
because that was an improvement. But we put quite a few points on the board, over 30 points on the board, which was delightful to see. Obviously, it was just a very different performance, wasn't it, to last week? Just all round, really. Obviously, there'll be areas that people say we can improve on and stuff, but the main thing was that we the players that needed to reacted. Some of our key players obviously just were poor last week or invisible last week and stepped up, and we sort of went back to our game where we're not heavily reliant on one sort of side of the ball or one element of our game. Like, obviously we know we've got a strong running game, and then we've shown this week we can actually pass the ball as well at a very high rate. That was probably the big key this week, was actually showing that we've kind of got a two-pronged attack, really, because Bijan, as good as he is, as soon as they think he sort of really think he's which were your only player, your only threat, it becomes very easy to well, not easy, but it goes a lot easier to counter that. And now we've clearly got other dimension to us, so very glad to see that. Just a great improvement. We beat a team that is a competitive team that we always have close games against, who I sort of would describe as very similar to us in terms of their sort of like position in the league. They're kind of in that chasing pack, aren't they, almost? Like, they're not one of the top teams, they're certainly not one of the bottom teams. They're very much in and around us in terms of where they rank in the league, so it's always good to beat a team like that. So yeah, overall, definitely happy.
It's a nice parallel change to last week, isn't it? So we'll take that. Just quick jump into the comments. We've got Jazza, much better performance from all of the team and coaches. I would like to emphasise coaches. Was actually an enjoyable watch for a change. Rise up. Mark, do you want to bounce off the back of that one? I'm sure you've got some highs and lows.
Yeah, it was the performance, I think, that we definitely needed off the back of last week. It was a much more balanced offense. Penix went 20 for 26. Fantastic use of both running backs, which we've talked numerous times on the show about how much we needed to diversify that. I think the only not so bright point is probably we showed some maybe lack of experience on the defensive side of the ball. There were a couple of times that I think we should have got home for sacks, and Mariota and don't get me wrong, Mariota is quite good at just kind of, he has been quite good. He wasn't quite good at it in Atlanta, but he is quite good at maneuvering himself out of bad situations. So I think there has to be a little bit of a look back at that film to see what the defense could have done better. But for me, I think we have to remember that we weren't up against Jaden Daniels. I think that was a big loss for them. Also, not having Scary Terry around is also a big loss for them. But you can only play what's in front of you, and I think offensively, we absolutely did enough. And I think when we talked about the Washington game last week, one of the big things for me was it was a bit of a shootout between us and them last year. And if our defense could play better, then I said we would win. And actually, the defense did enough. I think they could have done better to not make it as close of a game. But Romo seems to have calmed down a bit again, which is also good to see, because there were some potential alarm bells sounding last week, but much more. Much less scary kicks. They were much better. So yeah, all around, I think they answered everything that we wanted answered. 313 yards from your quarterback. A touchdown from your wide receiver one, touchdown from your RB one, and even RB two, and your tight end one. Who could ask for a better return?
It's the offense. Seeing the statistics of basically everyone getting a touchdown is very reassuring. We've needed that diversity for a while. We've been pretty satisfied with the offense, to be fair, in terms of the players we have available to us. But all getting on the board on one night, and not by fluke as well, by design in most cases. But for me, Penix very much led that. Anyone that was casting doubt on him last week, I hope they're eating their words right now, because he looked very assured. And yes, there was a little interception in there and things that you kind of expect from a rookie, especially from one that's so committed to how he plays. Like, he's going to sling that ball. Those interceptions are going to come naturally, and you'll take one of them every now and again for the result.
And the thing, I mean, just speaking on that, and obviously we had a bit of a chat earlier on. I mean, you just needed to put a little bit more air on that ball, and it goes over the defender's head. So I didn't look at that and go, "What is he doing?" It was just considering how accurate he was throughout that game. And I think it was London who was behind the corner at the time. London was open, it was it just needed maybe a few more inches. And boys, we all need a few more inches every now and again, right? So it's one of them. I didn't see anything alarming. Like it was assured, and who knew that putting your offensive coordinator on the field could yield such better results?
God, I'm sorry. Can I just lead with? I'm sure you all saw Bijan's quotes from after the game when he got asked about Robinson being on the sideline, and he said at halftime, Robinson was like, "Bro, I should have always been on the sideline," and Robinson said, "Yeah, man, I agree." Obviously. And I get the whole tactical approach. You can see the game better from higher up, and you can kind of play it out, but you shouldn't have to see the game better from a better position. If your scheme is the dog's bollocks, then you should be confident in it regardless of how they're set up. So I think it needed to happen. But long may it continue. Props where props are due.
And can we just hope that there are no more headset issues and we have mitigated that?
Well, that Bluetooth connectivity from the sideline compared to the stands, it was flying, wasn't it?
Who knew?
Who knew? The closer you stand, the better it is. But yeah, let's bring it down a little bit first. So there was a few little bits of concern, like Mark touched on. So let's touch in them before we kiss everyone's bums, because it's going to happen, because there was a lot of good things to say.
Yeah.
I nearly, you saw me stutter then. I nearly said the words that we're not allowed to say on this show. This is a family-friendly show. Cornerback, major concern for me at the cornerback, major concern for me at the moment in time. What do we do? in the absence of AJ. He sounds like he's going to be back come the end of the bye week, but we've still got a long season ahead of us to plug that gap. And at the moment, it's not really seeming like Hughes can fill that spot personally, but I'll leave that down to you two. There we go.
Is that what we can do really? We've only got sort of like the personnel that we've got to work with. I think I'm pretty sure I'd have to check, but I was looking at the grades earlier, and I think Matt Hughes and D'Alford were the two starting corners, and they finished bottom and second bottom of the entire defensive grades. So just to say what that did struggle a little bit. Matt Hughes is a veteran now, but he's always had a few moments, games where he's one of them players who can sort of he's not really solid and consistent. He either makes great plays or he makes bad plays. So that's kind of his thing. He can do one or the other. Sometimes he looks like he's unbeatable, and then the next minute he doesn't even know what that is. So he's always going to bring that. D'Alford obviously, had a role last season. It did well in places, but I think it's very clear he isn't a quarterback 1 or 2 by any means, is he really? It's just a bit of a throw in there on certain plays. He can do certain things for you, but he's not somebody who can consistently guard at this level. So we're with AJ out. Obviously, hopefully AJ comes back and he's fully healthy for the rest of the season. But we're in a bad position right now. But I think we're just about serviceable at quarterback with AJ coming back. Without him, it'd be a long season. We'd have to do what we did against the Commanders and put up that kind of points against most teams to win games, because I think even if we improve pass rush, I just don't think we can consistently cover the amount of teams that have got quality receivers. It's rare now that one team has one threat, and with the tight ends sort of stepping up and becoming better, pass catchers across the league. So a lot to cover. And I think we'd be in trouble. So hopefully AJ comes back. Hopefully we can sort of work something out. And obviously Billy Bowman played a bit of a role in in nickel and stuff, and he's struggled at times, but also looked good at times. But he's a rookie, so it's bound to happen. But it's a concern for moving forward. I think it's somewhere that we definitely need to be addressing in the off season next season. I think it's whether that's in the draft or whether that's in the agency, we'll have to see what happens. But it's certainly, I'd be very, very surprised if we don't come out of the off-season next season with a big step up at corner in the second position.
Yeah. You'd hope.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm in a position to proceed, though. Go on, Mark.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, listen, guys, one of the things that we discussed sort of pre-season was, CB2 is a weakness. Right? We knew that Mike Hughes and D'Alford were, kind of not the best depth to have in those positions. And Liam's absolutely right. He's either unbeatable or he's unwinnable. There is no in between, right? So I think I think having AJ back brings us a lot closer to being able to cover those stars. I do kind of go back to, look, we've wanted to send pressure, right? And now we're sending it, and we're sending it consistently. And sometimes that pressure is going to pay off, and the QB is going to be on his back. And in this game, as I mentioned earlier on, that just didn't get home quite as much as we would have liked it to. I think for me, barring a couple of plays here and there, Debo was the main reason they were moving the chains, and Debo has made much better cornerbacks look very average. So let's compartmentalize that for a second. But I think from that point of view, the bye being so early is a good thing for us, and and hopefully that gives Mooney some time, because I know Mooney came off in the third quarter. So I don't know whether that was just a bit of a move for game management because he's still not quite fully fit or what. But I think for us, to get those bigger pieces back, the buy's probably coming at about the right time. So I agree with Liam. It's a major weakness going into next year's draft, and I would expect them to be looking for a guy, like a starting guy, to go there.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we said, AJ has been pretty consistent at his time here. He's performed better some seasons than others, but he's never really massively let us down. So you really do need a supporting man for him in some capacity. Whether I'd be slightly more inclined to go for a vet based on where we are, I think, because I think if you're calling this a playoff season, in terms of what we want to achieve, I think if you're calling this a playoff season, then how many parts do you think you're missing before you can take that next step? And I know you have to supplement that with the draft a little bit, but how far are we away from win now mode would be my concern there. I've got tons of positives, but is there anything else negative wise that anyone wants to jump on before we liven it up a little bit?
No, like I said, not negative for me. I think the inexperience in that D line is it's still functioning. It's still nasty. Like we are. That D line is way better than what we've been used to. I just think it was a shame because I think that could have easily been a 4-5 sack game rather than a 1 sack game. But man like Zach Harrison, like he's doing it. A 7th round pick. Joe's going to be. He's just going to be a guy. Like he's turning out to be a big time player this season. So I think that was really the only negative thing for me.
Yeah. Sweet, we'll take that. Quick jump into the comments before we big everybody up and say that. Well, I'll say that we're going to win the Super Bowl. Don't worry, boys, you don't have to jump on that with me. We've got a nice little all hail Zach Robinson in the comments. With a pinch of salt, maybe. And then, of course, we've got regular Paul in the comments, evening chaps. Well, this is the question. Daniels and McLaurin might well have been the difference. And we completely agree with that because, yes, they had a lot more quality, but like you said, Mark, you can only play what's in front of you. And they weren't there, and we beat them. So, ultimately, does it really matter?
Somebody in one of the NFL groups have said that earlier on. Like wasn't Daniels and McLaurin injured? And it's like, well, yeah. But
yeah. That's what your roster's for.
But you don't look at a game at the weekend and go, oh, I wonder who didn't play. Like,
no.
Do you know what I mean?
At all.
It's such a.
It's in front of you, so it's crazy.
And I will be honest to my earlier point about Mariota having that sort of very kind of wily pocket awareness.
Yeah,
I think that actually we may have got to Daniels more because all he knows to do when he's pressured is to just put on the Jets. And actually, some of those tackles that the D line just like nearly sort of made. I think we would have hit Daniels more than we hit Mariota. I'm not saying that Daniels wouldn't have been better than Mariota. He may well have been, but I'm not as convinced that Daniels would have had that awareness and experience that Mariota. Because we have bashed that man a lot over the years for his time, but he is he's not he's no slouch. Like he knows what he's doing. And probably one of the stronger backups in the league. So I think it's to me it's a nonsensical thing to bring up.
Yeah, absolutely. On that note, let's switch over to talking positives. I'm going to lead this with Mr. Penix to start with, like I referred to a little bit earlier in the show, under a lot of criticism last week from a fraction of the fan base. I'll caveat that. But criticism nonetheless. And then he delivers 76% passing completion, 313 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and included in all of that some really, really good little running plays where he made the yards up himself, one of which was in the final quarter, where he'd scanned the options for about what felt like about 45 minutes. Nothing was opening up, and he just decided to turn the Jets on. Nice little switch of the hand for the ball, and then got the yardage, which is uber confident for me because rookie season as a starting quarterback. How are you both feeling on him? Is he the man?
Yeah, I mean, I think with the criticism, obviously, I think he deserved the criticism last week in terms of for that game. Like, he was bad. Like, obviously, the whole team was bad, but he was certainly down there. And obviously, he sort of said it himself, like that he knew he was partly responsible for what was going on there, and he just had a shocker which could happen. Obviously, anybody was when Kirk came in, everybody thinking that was some kind of benching for Kirk was, I think, a little bit crazy because they were never ever going to do that. Obviously, just taking him out of the game just to clear his head and just reset. The game was gone. He just needs to sit down. He's not going to get any better in that game because his head was gone by that point. So it was just bringing somebody else in, keep him healthy at the most, and then let him reset and come back this week. And that's what he did. Everybody knows that he's got the fairly quick release and good accuracy and a big arm and, like I said, decent legs. So he's got every physical tool that a quarterback could really ask for. There's nothing really lacks. So the only thing was whether he could mentally handle setbacks and things like that, because we've seen some quarterbacks in the past where they don't, if they have that sort of bad game, they find it very hard to recover, especially rookies, because they just get slaughtered nowadays. I know he's not a rookie, but just get slaughtered nowadays, so early in the career that he's almost just expected to perform. Like in the past, it was never like a rookie quarterback was either on the bench in the first place, or they just kind of got accepted that they were rookie, and they just never had that pressure, even if they were high pick. And now even somebody who's getting picked 8th, or anywhere in the first round, is expected to be performing, and he's bounced back with a big performance against a solid defense. They might not be spectacular, but they're very solid. And I think he's shown everybody he's got a lot of character, and he came out confident just straight away in the type of throws that he was throwing with great accuracy. The throw to Bijan for the running touchdown was sublime. It was ridiculously good. Because normally, when you see those types of passes, and we've been doing it all season, it's normally some kind of essentially swing pass where Bijan will be lined up sort of alongside the line of scrimmage or in the backfield, and then it's almost like a backwards pass, but and then Bijan is doing all the work. That's what the normal running back passing play is. That's all doing. But then this one was spicy because Bijan actually went at the quarterback and was basically on him when the pass came out, and that was designed like that. You could tell by the way he ran the route, and there's just this gap, this tiny gap that he had to throw it to get to Bijan's hands in stride. And that man's fast. He was moving even before the ball was thrown, and he absolutely nailed his hands. It was just incredible. By the time Bijan caught the ball, the quarterback was in no man's land. He was absolutely gone. And I watched that pass about 50 times. I'm gonna lie.
We know what you were doing.
Yeah, I was.
Whoa, we're not going to bring the chat to the show, boys. We're not going to bring the chat to the show. Wow.
Listen, if your dirty mind went there, then you
yeah, just great. Yeah, really good to see him bounce back, and hopefully that is kind of, somebody who just he just steps up and takes it forward now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's the most points that Commanders' defense has allowed all season. And they've and I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, you'd argue the best team that they played was the Packers, but Packers only put 27 on them. Raiders managed 24, Giants managed 6. So that's not a bad defense,
No.
And to do what we did, again with what he managed to do, and I think one of my, I mean, I'll come on to my favorite one as I discussed with you guys earlier in a minute when we talk about him. But the touchdown to London, to me, encapsulated what a good quarterback Michael Penix is.
Yeah.
Because that ball was out of his hand before London had turned around. So it's great that Drake London has remembered how to catch balls this weekend because that was a problem last week. But that to me shows that after a really tough week last week, and I loved listening to him during the week because he is and he's rookie starting season. But you listen to him talk, he's got a sensible head on his shoulders.
Yeah.
He took responsibility for his misdemeanors last week, and to come back and do that against a good defense shows character. It shows the ability to leave last week in the past. One of the big rules of football is you have to be a goldfish, right? You have to, it's done. You have to forget about it. You move on. Michael Penix did that this week, did that with the plum. And, I don't think there is any question for me that this is our guy,
Yeah.
And I mean, even the yards last week from him, despite the horrendous performance, was still up there. Do you know what I mean? So he's still doing, even when he's playing bad. He's still outdoing for yards some of the elite quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So I think everyone just needs to do what the team did this week and just forget about last week. It's all right. It was a blip. It was a bad day at the office, and we've just shown that we can turn it on.
Yeah, absolutely. You just hit a really good point actually as well in terms of the yardage that he got last week. I'm sure the commentary mentioned it during the game that we were a massive statistical anomaly in terms of we were the only team that had out-yarded every opposition we'd faced and not won every single one of the games, which is an awfully Falcons thing to have as a record, isn't it? So we'll take it. We'll take it as it is.
We must have like a scroll somewhere of the mad records we've somehow managed to break. Just by being
the Falcons.
Inept,
Yes.
But yeah, number 9 is QB1 here for a long time, and I think just an interesting point to touch on something that Liam said. We talk about quarterbacks and especially rookie quarterbacks and like a bad performance and then the performance dips. It doesn't happen so much with vets, which is ironically how 36-year-old Kirk Cousins lost his job, because that's what happened last year. One bad performance turned into another one, to another one, to another one, and to a complete nosedive. So I think it needs to be called out that, I don't think anybody should be underestimating how good mentally he is able to just go, right, okay, this week we move.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. He could have come with his head in the sand yesterday and just been a shell of what he could be. But mentality is very much key, especially for the Falcons, because we're not renowned for it, are we? So it's nice to have some figures, especially young figures, coming into the roster that have actually got that in the tank. I'm just going to jump to the comments real quick, and then I'm going to ask for another positive nomination off both of you. So, Liam, if you want to have yours prepped, ready to go after this. Paul back in the comments. Well, if that record of out-yarding opponents continues, surely that writes itself and we're playoff bound. I mean, the Bucks did lose last night. So we're on the tails again. But I'm not going to get too eager just yet. But we'll stick on the positive notes. Liam, have you got a nomination for a positive player from yesterday?
I mean, there's a few I could go at really. I think I'm going to give it to Pitts for my positive nomination.
Oh no! Yeah.
I've got another one. Go on.
Yeah, I assumed you were going for somebody else. But I'm going to give it to Pitts just because he caught every one of his 5 targets.
Yeah.
He went for like 70 yards, I think he was in the end. And he was a very solid option, like for the whole game when we needed to throw in the ball, and that's essentially what a tight end should be, like that reliable guy with great hands who just gets that type of reception when you need it. When there's nobody else open, like the quarterback tends to look for sort of like either a check down or a tight end. That's kind of like the way that they tend to be. And he was struggling to be that guy. For the last couple of years was Pitts. He was always like, I don't know, just never making that second effort to get open. Sometimes it was like if his first route didn't come off or he didn't get seen, he kind of like slowed down, and this season he looks a bit much sharper, like he's making that second effort to get open. And you're gonna see a guy like that who's 6'6", he's gonna stand out when he gets open. So if he can get open, like he's going to get the ball, and he's obviously realizing that he doesn't have to run these perfect routes. He can just get into little pockets of space. Like I'll bring up what Kelsey's done. Like Kelsey was never down the field. He went for so many 1,000-yard seasons. He was never a down the field beast, was he? He was just guy got into a pocket. He made his whole career by getting into a pocket of space. And that's what Pitts needs to do more of, and that's what he's certainly doing more of this year. And just great to see 5 out of 5 in the catches.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And kudos where it's due. And I will hold my hands up, and I'm sure you boys will too. We've had chats over the last couple of years, especially last season, where we were very unsure on his future as a Falcons player. Had a really rough season. Yeah, he'd been carrying bits of injuries and things like that, but we'd just not seen even a fraction of the potential that we knew he had and that he displayed in his rookie season. So it's good to see that little uplift, and it'll be very interesting to see how the rest of the season pans out, with him, of course, being into his last season with us, technically, isn't it? So there's some work to be done there. Quick jump into the comments, and then Mark, I'll come back to you. I mean, we're going to stay on positives for a while because I've got another list as well, so don't worry about it. But we've got Thomas. 1 second. One of the most pleasing things for me was our ability to convert on third down. Washington had the best third down defense, converting 50% on third downs compared to them only converting 1 of 8. Makes a nice change because we couldn't make one stick for the life of us the week previous. So, yeah, I completely agree with that. Jay, I assume this is in response to Paul's comment coming in with, I would personally say a wild card should be the realistic target, dependent on the upcoming results from the Bucks. Still bearing the scars from the Panthers game, and that's making me feel very nervous more than often this season. That's absolutely fair enough, though. I mean, God, if it got to the end of the season and we got through to the playoffs on a wild card, you won't catch us complaining, would you? We've not seen playoff football for a long time, so however it happens is completely irrelevant. We take what we can get. Mark, hit us with your main man to watch from yesterday.
Yeah, I will do. But I just one of the joyous moments from Pitts yesterday, which made me so happy, was on his touchdown. He did this kind of cute little, like he kind of got into block and like sort of chopped his feet for a second.
Yeah,
which completely wrong-footed because I like the obviously the linebacker's then gone, oh, he's blocking. So that's wrong-footed him, and he's just let him go and ran in for and like that is such it was cute, but it was like if you're a tight end, and we've said it for a long time, he's not a blocking tight end or whatever. So to kind of to be doing those little things that get him into good positions was just chef's kiss. It would be obvious for me to go to Drake here. It was obviously, the biggest target, 110 yards, constantly a problem. And like I say, after last week and how many drops, it was great to see him back. But I'm not going to go for him. I'm going to go for RB2.
Thank you.
Fantastic to see him getting similar share of carries.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think so. It was like 17 carries for Bijan, 16 for Algier. Obviously, Bijan with his wizardry that we seen yesterday, just cements the fact that to me he's the absolute best running back in professional football. But having Tyler there to be, and they're starting to pick up on just use the big guy. And I said this during the week. I actually think that, if we are in dire straits and need to pick up some picks ahead of next year's draft, I'd hate to lose him, but he could be an RB1 on another team. And
without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah.
And considering he had, I think, like 20 odd yards less than Bijan, he only actually had 1 yard less per carry. So great to see him get another touchdown. Absolutely love him. And I think he deserves his flowers. So yeah. Tyler for me.
Absolutely, I'll take that. I've done this every single week so far, bar last week. But props again have got to go to Mr. Diablo. He's just done the job. He's just been so much more than he expected from him. I think it does help when your expectations of someone aren't sky high when they come in. I've not checked the PFF rankings or anything like that, but he's got to be up there. He's got to be doing pretty good.
He was second.
He doesn't just pass the eye test.
Second on defense this week, which I think he's been in the top 2 for 3 out of the 4 games. So
he's got a little bit of everything. He feels very versatile. Like every time you're watching a play, he's always lurking, and I just love to see it. It's a nice positive for me, because I'm not going to pretend that I'd watched loads of tape from him before or anything like that. I've not seen loads, so this is a nice step up.
But Danny, I don't think he had that much amazing tape.
Maybe
so
not,
I mean, I'm not going to, kind of hit you with my old phrase, but you got to scheme to the player, right? And this suits him. He complements Caden Ellis really well in the box, and I think the biggest win for us of him elevating his game in this scheme is that we haven't had to use Jalen Walker in the box as much, because linebacker was a worry for me coming into the season. I don't think Troy Anderson gets back into that starting slot next to Caden Ellis. At the moment, you would be hard. I mean, at this point, I'm saying pay them that. But fair props for the show, because he was brilliant yesterday.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've got a few stats, hypothetical stats, if we stay on course for the rate that we're working at across the board at the moment in time. So just off the back of your Bijan comments about him being the best in the league, he currently leads the NFL from yards from scrimmage at 584. Stunning, especially based on the fact that last week we were Pesh. If he stays on that trajectory, not saying he will, but it would finish him with 2,482 yards, which would be the second highest ever in the NFL. So I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it's a nice statistic to have in the back of your mind for 4 games into a season.
We do have a terrible habit of jinxing things, Danny, don't we?
I do. I nearly jinxed us last night as well. It was a nightmare. And let's go ahead. I'll jinx us one more time. And if we stay on course in terms of our sacks, we're expected to have 43 sacks by the end of the season, which would be a 12 ups from our 31 last year, where we finished, I think we finished 31st or something along those lines in terms of sacks. So even though early 40s is still not like generational by any means, it's slap bang in the middle of what you'd expect, and we've not been there for a good long time. And in our preseason shows, that was one of the things that we emphasised the most in terms of wanting to get that number right up. But yeah, that's there's tons more positives. So if you guys want to jump back in, go for it. If not, we'll jump to Liam's segment.
Just an honourable mention, I think, again for Xavier Watts. He is looking like the player that we really prayed he would be. And it's great to see him with another INT on the board. I think he's coming along extremely well. So yeah, just definitely worth a shout, because it was another strong performance.
The first rookie since Deion Jones to get multiple interceptions. Sorry, well zoned out then. Which is, I mean, that reflects a bit poorly on us potentially, but also very impressive by his standards. 9-year gap, so you can't complain there. On the note of rookies, Liam, do you want me to roll your clip?
Yeah, go for it.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
This is a debut for a new segment. As you all know, we introduced Fraud Watch at the start of this season. We've got that coming up shortly. But we also have another watch, and you're going to love the photo that supports this. So let's roll the clip, and then Liam, you can introduce the segment.
Oh, how out of context that photo is. Like,
it's so out of context, because it just looks like you're just really happy sitting on a chair. But you were like on a throne, weren't you? Like you were.
Yeah, I feel like we should play some kind of like guess where I was chat.
Position
Yeah, like the first person to guess it by the end of the season wins.
Paul's hit us with a no words at all.
No.
And then we've got a vote for Fraud Watch as well, so I'll circle back to that. Sorry, Liam. I'm actually going to run your clip back one more time.
I mean, I was just about my own things.
I'm going to run it one more time, and then you can introduce your segment and crack on with it. I really just want to see the photo one more time as well. Here we go.
It looks like a regular chair. Okay, so Rookie Watch. It's so distracting. I can't believe you chose that one. Okay, so Rookie Watch is our new segment, and you can probably guess what it's about. It's about our rookies and some other rookies around the league. So the first thing I'll sort of do is go through how our rookies performed in the recent week, and then I'll go for a couple of mentions of rookies around the league. In particular, one's doing well, because I won't want to tread on the toes of Fraud Watch, because rookies are not safe from Fraud Watch.
Nobody is safe.
So I will focus on the positive rookies, and leave Mark with his predatory ways to tackle to go for.
I mean,
I've just outed him on camera.
Oh, God.
I could have made it worse and said, but I won't. Okay, so I had a look and thinking I'll start with the offense. I was like, we don't have any.
No.
I was like, Casey Washington, I'll have him. He wasn't even in this year's draft. He was the one before. So I've ruined the whole part of rookie watch for the offense, but I can move on to defense rather swiftly. So it's a mixed bag this week in terms of the rookies. We're sort of in a bit of a 2-up, 2-down position, which is another one of Mark's favourites. So Jalen Walker, I'll start with. Best performing player on the defense. I don't even need to say rookie. The best performing player outright on the defense in terms of the PFF grades, with a grade of 86.2, which is very good. He's had a solid, if not unspectacular, start to the season, but he certainly took a step up in this game, and he really did deliver on all counts. Great tackling. We know he's that player who's got a lot of different values to bring, and I'm very excited to see more of what he can do. I think he's got a lot of untapped potential. I think he's still quite raw, but his physical attributes are he's got everything you could ever imagine. Like the speed for with his size is impressive. So I think there's a lot more to come from him, and I think he's going to be featured hopefully quite highly on Rookie Watch for the entire season. And on the second positive note for our rookies, and obviously Mark's already mentioned him, but Xavier Watts, he was right up there in the defense. I think we said, didn't we, coming out of college, like he was essentially like a ball hawk. That was his guy. He was an interception machine. I think he got like 6 or 7 in last season in college. That was his game, and he's showing that it can transfer to the pro level. And while there's obviously things to clean up, he's been flung straight in there in a secondary that's obviously got some holes, and he's performing. And I think I really like him. He was my favourite player coming out of the draft for us. So I'm really glad to see him doing well, and I just think that he's going to be I think he could be a future star at the position. I genuinely believe he could be that good, just with the way he sort of approaches the game. He's always doing something. I like those sort of like busy players who, not everything might be good, but he's always making a tackle, or he's nearby, and I do really like that. Bring us down a little bit, down the bottom of the table in terms of the PFF grades, I'm afraid to say. I'll start with the lowest grading rookie was Billy Bowman this week. He's been up and down, hasn't he? He's again another one who's had lower. Did we take with the 3rd or 4th round? I think it was the 3rd. Was I can't remember. Yeah.
Yes.
He's been thrown in there, really, hasn't he? Very much so. He's performing well, in now. So I'm happy with where he's at in terms of what he's providing us. He's going to get exposed now and again this season, like any sort of like rookie could. But I've got no major concerns about him, really. I think he's going to be another one who will be a good, if not great player for us. I'm very happy about our picks in general, really, so far. And the other one was James Pierce Jr. didn't have a great week in terms of the numbers, but again, he's another one who has had a good start to the season, I would say. Obviously, he's used purely as a pass rusher. That's pretty much what he does on 90% of his snaps that he plays, which is what we brought him in to do. Has he got a sack yet?
Yeah.
I think they've all got a number under the belts now, haven't they? Yeah.
That's good. So he's got he's going to get better and better, right? He's another one who's got all the attributes of a brilliant pass rusher. He just needs to sort of refine those hand skills, which is pretty much the most common thing coming out of college, is the ability to use your hands in a way that can deceive an offensive lineman, because most of them are coming out physically in a great position. But I think he's another one where he looks one of our best pass rush picks in a while. I'm thinking about some of the recent ones that we've picked, and they've struggled. I think he's one that I really do believe can step up and do well for us. But yeah, I'm happy with the way that the class is going. I think Rookie Watch is going to be positive this year. I was thinking about doing it if we did the Rookie Watch
in
recent years.
Jinx us.
That's what Rookie Watch would have been like on some of our recent years, where either none of them played.
Last year, you would have never spoke.
Yeah, I don't want to spoke. It just would have been roll the tape. That would have been it. But we've actually got some rookies to talk about this year, and I'm excited to do it because we've not got a great track record with some of our defensive rookies sometimes. So it's great to see that they're all doing pretty well. I'll move on to some rookies sort of around the league.
Yeah,
and I'll pick my standout that I'm going to pick for this week, which is I'm going to mention Quinshon Junkins. Oh no, wait. Oh, sorry. That's a Crime Watch. Sorry if you're watching.
That's a clip.
That's a new segment. No, I'm going to pick a guy that could have appeared on Fraud Watch. He was very vulnerable at one point. I think Mark was who I'm going to say. I think he was vulnerable this week for Fraud Watch if he didn't perform like he did in his last game. I was fearing for his life. I thought he was going to appear and Mark was going to slate him. But I think he's saved himself for now. We'll see how the rest of the season goes. Nobody's safe. That's what Mark's shaking his head at. I'm going to pick Ashton Jetty because, yes, he's struggled so far. And, he's been coming under a lot of pressure. Obviously, there's big expectations and things like that.
Yeah.
But he absolutely delivered this week. Whether he can keep it up, we'll see. But he absolutely delivered. He rushed 138 yards and a touchdown, 2 receiving touchdowns for 18 yards, I think it was. That's a big week for any running back. And he's I don't know if you saw one of his rushing touchdowns, which was only rushing touchdown, but it's completely his style that everybody was expecting to see. That sort of delay at the line, burst of speed. Somebody tried to bring him down, realized that that's very difficult because of the way he sort of runs and the size of his thighs. And he ran in all the way for a touchdown. And I think so they're giving him a lot of volume, and I think his production was quite low in terms of his volume. I think I said in the chat that I don't expect much from any Raider ever, so I have low expectations. But he had a big week, and I think he's going to be my pick of the week for Rookie Watch because I think he deserves it with them sort of numbers.
Well, I think come the end of the season, we should have a nice little Rookie Watch roster v the Fraud Watch roster.
Like it.
Listen, he had a half decent game against the Bears.
The Bears are a good defense.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Let me just say, Ashton Janty, I'm watching you.
I note that about 7 new people just joined the live as we were having that chat. So Liam and Mark have polarizing segments. One's Rookie Watch and one's Fraud Watch, and they've got a little bit of a clash at the moment in time. Possibly someone should fall under. So keep an eye on that one for the future.
It could be one of those where he's on Fraud Watch. The week after he's on Rookie Watch. It could be back-to-back weeks if he has a bad week next week. Who knows? That's the way the NFL goes.
I love it.
I will wrap it up there for Rookie Watch. I think there'll be some exciting performances throughout the league to talk about. Hopefully, this is a week where I can pick our player as the standout
across the entire league. I look forward to it, and I hope that it's in the playoffs.
That would be nice. Or the Super Bowl.
Perfectly. That was the Super Bowl. That was the first time and the debut of Roll the Clip, Rookie Watch. We're going to back-to-back it this week with Fraud Watch. Let me jump into the comments because, Mark, you've got some suggestions and some predictions, I think, First up, Christy, long-time watcher, so thank you for jumping back in. Definitely a rise-up kind of day. You might have clocked the sensational piece of merch that's been debuted as well. We've got Ellie, that's been watching all season long so far. A vote for Fraud Watch. The Ravens.
Ooh.
All of them. So there's one. There's one, and then we're going to move down the row a little bit, back to Paul. And Paul's going for the Titans for Fraud Watch 2. He thinks that the London silly nannies are they actually of an acceptable NFL standard. So on that note, I am going to roll the Fraud Watch clip. Mark, take the lead and do your thing. I love it.
Right. Welcome for this week's episode of Fraud Watch. Now, all very good suggestions that have come into the comments. And as we've discussed earlier on, no one is safe. But this week in particular, and I haven't told anybody yet, so the boys don't know, it was about to go to a defensive unit from this weekend. But I've decided to keep them under surveillance for another week. This week is the first wide receiver to be discussed and to be outed on Fraud Watch. Drafted 4th overall in the 2024 draft, stepped forward, Marvin Harrison Jr. of the Arizona Cardinals. You are officially on Fraud Watch. Now, let me begin.
Yeah.
Drafted 4th overall in a draft where he was taken before Malik Neighbors. R.I.P. to his ACL, by the way.
R.I.P.
Taken before Rome Dunze. Taken before Brian Thomas Jr. Realised he had a good season last year. Could potentially be a contender for WR2 on Fraud Watch. Watch this space. As well as Ricky Pearsall as well. They were all first-round wide receivers that went in that same draft class. Marvin Harrison Jr. so far this season as a wide receiver 1 with a good quarterback.
Yeah,
absolutely. I will not have any slander on Kyler. He is far from my Fraud Watch gaze at the moment. Marvin Harrison Jr. as a wide receiver 1 with a good quarterback has racked up in 4 games a grand total, ladies and gentlemen, of 208 yards.
Jesus.
He has 2 touchdowns on the year. 1 against the Seahawks on game week 1 and 1 against the filth down the road, the New Orleans Saints, this weekend.
That should give him a bye, surely.
Most amount of yards in 1 game came against New Orleans with a grand total of 71 yards.
Oh.
He finished his rookie season sub 900 yards for the entire season with only 8 touchdowns. That is not the production of a wide receiver 1. It is not the production of somebody who came into the league with already quite a vocal ego about where he was going and what he was doing.
Yeah.
So the first wide receiver of Atlanta Falcons UK Fraud Watch goes to Marvin Harrison Jr. You are now officially on Fraud Watch. I thank you very much.
That is damning, to say the least. I'm going to run the clip. That Fraud Watch offense is stacking up pretty nicely.
Shaping up. We will have a full room by the end of the season. We already have an OC. There's a
you've
couple of
got an
head
OC.
coaches. There's a couple of head coaches in my binoculars as well. So stay tuned next week
for Fraud Watch. That's a good one. I'm liking the roster so far. I don't like that there's a Falcons OC in there, but it is deserved, so we'll take it.
As we said in week 1, Daniel, I'm more than happy to eat humble pie if these players and these coaches remove their thumbs from their prospective Rusty Sheriff's badges. But you would say that so far, Zach Robinson is the only one that is beginning to redeem himself, but he is still very much under the watchful eye.
But we're talking one game of improvement here, so
you don't get away from Fraud Watch after one game.
Oh, do you, Eck? No chance at all. We've got Craig in the comments saying, "Dirty birds, rise up." So I think in terms of Falcons content, I'm pretty satisfied. I think we've touched on as many people as we can. Well, pause. So let's do a little whip around of the league. If anyone's got any talking points that you want to cover. Obviously, there was an international game. There was some baffling results in terms of Green Bay and Cowboys and stuff going all over the show. Where do you want to start, boys?
Another mad week for NFL
football. Was unpredictable sport. It really is.
Yeah. I mean, I'd probably start with I think there was probably 2 surprise-ish results. Certainly one was a surprise for me. I think that was the Giants beating the Chargers was quite a shock. The Chargers are some people's dark horse.
Jackson Dart was on target.
Wow. He's dying to say that.
Queuing that one up.
He's the rookie QB quid, he did a solid job and they won a tight game.
Another fantastic performance by my guy Cam Scatterbo. I mean, I think that I agree, Liam. I think that was it. That was a mad result. I think, as I mentioned earlier on, though, massive loss for the Giants losing Neighbours, because that'll be him out for the season. I seen a list earlier on of the amount of Achilles and ACL injuries at MetLife over the past 5 years, and the number is staggering.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's not a great sport for it, but the turf can't help. I know there's not every team plays on turf, but the turf cannot help when you're doing those kind of motions and actions. It's absolutely clinically insane.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah, that was a very good win for them, and yeah, Cam Scatterbo was got archive footage of him being my favourite. I also picked him as my favourite player coming out of the draft pre-season just because I love his angry style. I just used to love watching Arizona State and him just slamming people repeatedly.
There was an amazing picture of him coming out at the end, and bearing in mind he just played a game with like in great weather on turf, and somehow his jersey was still muddy. That is insane. Honestly, he's such a fun player, man. I really enjoy watching him. Bills making hard work of the Saints. That was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one, that one, isn't it? And I'm surprised that they weren't prominent on your Fraud Watch just for a one-off performance against a team that were 0-3 and look absolutely rock bottom. But it's
I'm not jinxing that ahead of week 6.
Oh no. We'll save that for another day. But yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. They should have steamrolled them, and shipping 19 points against them is not pretty at all. I think it'd be I mean, Paul did reference it in the comments, and we did pop it up, but I think it'd be rude not to reference how bad the Titans are. They got clean for 0. I know we did last week as well, but they are in a dire position. I think that's beyond like blow it up and start again. I've no idea where they.
Well,
go
even Cam Ward came out in the press conference and said that, and literally said like, we are ass. That was it.
Yeah.
Like lads, I'm all for accountability, but that is wild to say that. Like it's crazy,
especially
to a new team. Like you're just there, just feet in the door, and you're being vocal like that. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he's like the O line is so bad, like so bad. Like I think because he's quite a mobile quarterback. Like he can get out of the pocket and move. I think he's been sacked like 19 times already. Yeah, like it's just terrible.
It's rough. It's rough watching.
Mad result in the Ravens Chiefs game. I expected the Ravens were just poor, and they've it's wild. Like they seem to just either like turn up or capitulate. Like it's there doesn't seem to be any in between with them. And I think the funniest thing that I seen during the week was apparently Shadur Sanders had actually kind of nixed the Ravens because the Ravens were talking about picking him, and he said he didn't want to play number 2 behind Lamar. And ironically, he would have probably gone in that game. Well, still sitting on the sidelines behind Dylan Gabriel now. So my personal vendetta against Shadur Sanders will continue. But that result was quite surprising. And I do hope it's not some sort of mad resurgence for the Chiefs, but watching the highlights back, I really think it was more on the Ravens just being poor.
I think that's the Ravens story of the last handful of years, though, isn't it? Like they're very much an almost team. Like
but they don't strike me as an almost team this season. They strike me as 10-7 maybe at best. Like they're already 2-2. They just don't look as electric as they have. They don't look as well drilled as they have done. Derrick Henry's looked quite average, and when have we ever said that about Derrick Henry? Do you know what I mean? It's bit of a shock at that one, but I think we're all building up to the real shock of this weekend. The mad game between the Cowboys and the Packers yesterday.
I'll start this off. I've jinxed the Packers because I said they were going to win the Super Bowl, and they've just and they've gone back. Since I said that on week 2 show, they obviously lost last week, and then whatever on earth happened last night. Bear in mind that's a Cowboys team without a fully fit roster, without CD and stuff like that. I have no idea what's going on there.
Without Micah Parsons, ironically. They're not then. I mean, they're scoring, but you would expect that defensive unit to do better against that Cowboys team.
100%.
So, possible contenders for Fraud Watch, but that to me was a real shock. Actually, to relate that back to your point earlier, these games could all matter if we are chasing wild card spots rather than division titles. So certainly one to watch in the coming weeks because it still doesn't look like it's clicking for Green Bay.
No, it doesn't at all. It's a strange one. I can't put my finger on it because
nobody feels dominant.
No, they don't. I agree.
Nobody.
No.
Which is weird. Like, I kind of almost feel like at the minute if I was to try and put money on it, you're probably looking Lions and Eagles again. But like the Eagles they're awful to watch. Like they're playing just really mere football. They're just doing it well. Like it's like if and AJ Brown's already doing his yearly moan up on social media that he's not getting the ball enough and all this sort of stuff. But I liked I don't know whether anybody's seen, but they did like a little variation on the tush push this week where they lined up for it.
Fake. Yeah.
Where they lined up for it, and then everyone was like, "Oh no, we've got to try and stop it," and then they just ran the ball instead.
Yeah, no, I didn't like it.
Quite inventive.
That did spark a lot of talk about the tush push being kiboshed and stuff, though, which I would not be a fan of, to be honest, because why? It's part of the game. Like,
I get the point about how like the line do kind of line up offside. I do get it, but like it's been stopped. Like there are ways to stop it. You just got to execute that. I agree. I don't think they should ban it. But Roger Goodell and all his pals are just absolute buzz killingtons.
Just quite a safety thing in it, with particularly the centre who's getting absolutely decimated like every time they do it.
Yeah, true. That's true. And there's a lot of talk about the onside kicks again. Obviously, we had one in our game. We recovered it in terms of how they want to increase the percentage of successful onside kicks. But again, that's down to execution. Like, it is doable. Teams do it. We've done it. And if we've done it, anyone can do it. So I don't think you need variations there. I think we need to start babysitting teams a little bit.
If Kyle Pitts is just literally grabbing the ball out of the air, like, yeah, I mean, sorry, Washington, but you're just not executing that.
No. That's not because the rule is set up badly or anything like that. It was under no challenge either. He just
You just need a bounce, like some kind of Wookiee bounce, really, isn't it? That's
it. Yeah,
ricochet off a knee or something like that, and that's what it is. That's what you're aiming for. But there's not really many ways you can improve that. You can't start making it like even like really harder for the defense to get it, because like this doesn't make any sense. Because if people start, because they changed the rule about when you can do them now, can't they? So like they did change it so that you have to declare them, and they can only be in the fourth quarter. But now you have to declare them, but they don't have to be in the fourth quarter, I think.
Sounds right.
Or I can't remember if it was NFL or the college rules. That certainly changed it to you don't have to. It doesn't have to be in the fourth quarter anymore, but you have to declare it, because if you start making it easier, teams are genuinely going to start literally going for them, like all the time at some point.
Literally just instead of picking it up. Yeah, of course. Stunning. Got a few comments. I'm just going to jump to them. We're probably close to drawing the show up, unless you guys have got anything else. Ben, thank you for watching. Another regular. We've got Craig in here in regards to Will Levis's numbers through the first 4 starts are better than Cam Ward's, and the fan base ran Levis out. I don't want to speak on that, but these things do happen. I think the quarterback's the least of the worries at the moment in time, if I'm completely honest. But
it's just
nothing there.
Dysfunctional.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I'll finish off back on a Falcons one. Someone that we've not touched on really very much at all this season, to be honest. Craig again. Do you all think Jesse Bates has lost a step, or is it because he knows he doesn't have to be that guy anymore? Deep thought.
Well, I suppose there's. I don't. I mean, if you look at his production just in this game, gone.
Yeah.
Jesse Bates had 7 total tackles, which was the highest in the whole team. I don't think he's lost a step. I think he probably looked a lot better when he didn't, when he was paired up with. I can't even remember who he was
Simmons.
paired up with. No, his first season.
Oh,
Who would it have been?
It thingy on it. My God, never mind. The other rookie. What's the rookie? I can't remember. I can't think
Well,
his name.
anyway, that rookie isn't very memorable. So I think, but
I think that speaks volumes.
Exactly. So I think he's automatically going to look better there. I think we agreed that kind of him and Simmons kind of cancelled each other out last season. And Watts will get most of the flowers. But like in terms of overall team production, I mean, I don't think. I think you've got quarterbacks that are very hesitant to throw anywhere near in his direction.
Yeah.
And hence why our corners are getting a little bit more of a job at the minute. But no, I have no concerns about him, and he, and you know, whether he is a full leadership, stalwart in that locker room. You know, so yeah, and we need that because it is a predominantly young defensive room.
Massively.
So yeah, I mean, I certainly haven't seen him or thought I've seen him losing a step. And for a safety, he's still relatively. I mean, he's not missing anything glaringly as far as I can see. So yeah, I don't have any concerns personally.
No,
It was Richie Grant. It's good.
Yes. That's why we don't remember it, because trauma.
Yeah.
Trauma. Repressed it, just locked it away.
Exactly.
We have got one more comment, but we won't have time for it tonight, unfortunately. However, Vince, you're actually watching on X, so if you head over there, I'll do a little review of how we all came into the Falcons world. There is 4 of us typically, so we've all got slightly different paths, and the 2 boys here have much deeper stories than I do. So I'll leave that for X, but we will do a video covering that, or at least posts covering that. On that note, a positive show. Going into the bye week, 2-2. A very solid win against the Commanders. And a little bit more hopeful than we were the week previous. The Bucs lost, so they're 3-1. Only 1 win behind them now. The Saints lost, so they're 0-4. So we can laugh at them for a few more weeks until we face them, and then maybe we'll have to change that a little bit. And the Panthers lost again, which just shows that their win against us was purely an anomaly. But these things happen. So it's shaping up nicely in the NFC South. Falcons are positive. Nice little bye week to refresh. Mark, where can everybody watch the show?
You can watch it everywhere. We are all over all of your social media platforms. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I refuse to call it X. F you, Elon. And if you prefer podcast versions, then you can find us on all of the main podcasting platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your
sound barrier's gone.
Gone. It's gone.
podcast. I try not to shout it anymore so that my mic will work, but it doesn't seem to. I've got my new mic's coming this week. Hopefully that'll help.
Your vocal cords are just impeccable from your rock and roll lifestyle, mate. So this is just a warm up for you. It's just vocal practice.
Yeah.
But again, thank you everybody for watching. It's been a brilliant show. We're all feeling positive into the bye week. We will catch you next week. See you next time.